like an impressive specimen. The butler introduces himself formally as Burris Lahallam, the same figure who appeared back in the story's opening chapter. 2 years go by, and Alice makes her return to the academy. She keeps a low profile, trying to ease herself back into the routine without drawing much attention. But despite her efforts, people notice her everywhere she goes. Eventually, she steps into the dean's office. He greets her warmly, welcoming her back and asking if she enjoyed her time away. She explains that she visited Phryne. His expression shifts. He's visibly surprised. That's not a place where humans are usually welcomed. He recalls telling her it might take more than a year to adjust, but that the journey would help her reflect on where she belongs. Now it seems she's made up her mind. Alice tells him that she's decided to join the Knights of Light. He asks whether this means she intends to carry on her family's legacy. She responds that someone has to take responsibility and continue the path. She also mentions being worried, specifically about him. The dean lets out a mischievous laugh, knowing exactly who she's referring to. He reassures her that Cyan can handle himself just fine. And right then, Cyan shows up behind her. She turns and stares, caught completely off guard by the sudden reunion after all these years. She notices he's gotten taller, broader too. He now stands nearly level with her, maybe even poised to surpass her any day now. He teases her, saying maybe she's just shrinking instead. The date is July 2nd, year 988. He remembers this exact day from his previous life too. That was the final time he saw his sister alive. She asks if he's planning to return home for summer break. He tells her no one back home would even bother welcoming him, except for her. She's caught off guard by that. She asks if that's why he's avoided coming home for 2 years. The truth is, his reasons for staying away run much deeper. Ashel is one of those reasons, and the Duke's wife has been hunting him down, grasping at every opportunity to end his life. And their father? He does absolutely nothing about it. Going back would be no different than signing his own death warrant. He's made up his mind to stay away until graduation. She then asks if he's gotten close to Kranz. He replies that there's no chance of that, at least not right now. She reacts with visible surprise. He explains it's because the guy has been nothing but hostile, even tried to kill him once. She freezes in disbelief, shocked silent. Brian steps forward then, ready to confirm every word. She asks who the man is. He introduces himself plainly. Brian Kendrick, a guardian knight. Cyan walks her through everything, how things played out between him, Kranz, and their mother. Her expression twists with a mix of emotions, mostly rage, completely blindsided by the truth. But he is quick to tell her it's not her fault. Even so, her anger only keeps rising. She asks if he's told anyone else about this. He answers that there's really no point. It's all in the past now. But Kranz shows no signs of guilt or even second thoughts. Alice suddenly throws her arms around him in a tight embrace. She says he doesn't have to bottle it all up, that she'll be his shield from now on. She makes him a promise that she'll watch over him going forward. She says she'd love to stay longer, but she's got somewhere she needs to be. She tells him to stay safe while she's gone. She even hugs the guardian, as a thank you for looking after him. He throws the knight a deadly glare, simmering with jealousy over his sister. They say their goodbyes and she heads out, but he can't shake the image of how pissed she looked. He hasn't seen her that furious in a long time. In his past life, during sword training with Kranz, he was getting ragdolled. The older boy told him to stand up and keep fighting, but he had given up and told him to stop. Kranz didn't care what anyone thought. He kept landing punches right to his face until Alice stepped in, ordering him to quit it. She'd made him apologize, wearing that exact same furious face she had just now. It was the only time he'd seen her that mad. Things at the Duke's estate are about to explode, and she needs to learn the truth about her family so he can protect her properly next time. Brian walks up, holding out one red envelope and one black. The red's from the academy, the black one from some janitor. He takes the black letter and flat out ignores the red. He figures the red one's from the palace. It's sealed with the imperial crest. He even asks what it might be. Cyan says the palace usually throws a banquet this time of year, but the black letter? That's something far worse. It's an assassination contract targeting the Drenian Nephilis. It had caused major chaos during the banquet back then. Considering the man is the younger brother of the reigning empress, it's no surprise Karam is stunned to hear he's attending, especially since he already has other matters lined up. But when Cyan thinks back, someone else pulled off that mission in his past life, which makes it pretty clear the Hallmaster is showing him favor. Karam opens the red letter and finds it's from Princess Erin. She jokes about how he's not a kid anymore, even if he still acts like one. Basically, it's a confession letter disguised with jokes. In response, he activates the demonic sword's curse to give her a light punishment. She just laughs it off. The letter also talks about prep for the upcoming palace trip. Suddenly the doors slam open. Nana charges in, loudly announcing that she's starving. Everyone turns to look at her, all of them stunned by what they see. She now looks like she's their age. The speed at which she's grown is wild, and hard to believe. Meanwhile, back at Vert's castle, Alice storms into the royal hall, every step loaded with fury. She demands to know her mother's whereabouts. One of the servants quietly answers. She's in her room, sitting there. Alice enters without hesitation. Margaret, her mother, greets her kindly, but she doesn't wait. She walks right up to her and slaps her across the face, with everything she's got. The guards rush in after hearing the screaming, trying to figure out what just happened, and demands to know if her daughter has lost her mind, but Alice fires back that it's her mother who's insane. She accuses her of trying to murder Cyan, causing the woman to freeze for a moment in stunned silence before muttering a question, asking if there's any proof. That was the wrong thing to say. By asking for evidence, she's basically admitted to the crime. Alice snaps at her, furious that she dared to lay a hand on him without even having the courage to deny it properly. She screams at the guards to throw her out. 5 guards lunge toward the princess, but she flips back, dodging the rush, then launches into a barrage of attacks using both water magic and spirit arts, taking them down in seconds. The older woman stands there, wide-eyed, watching her daughter dismantle the guards alone like it was nothing. Alice walks right up and says that Cyan's guardian has come clean. He's confessed everything, including naming her as the one behind the assassination attempt 2 years ago. Even if Cyan has chosen to stay quiet, she won't be able to hide anymore. The accused tries to shift the blame, insisting her daughter shouldn't take the word of a commoner over hers, but Alice doesn't care. She calls her by her full name, sharp and cold, then says she'll inform her father, and once he knows, she'll see what real consequences look like. Alice leaves the dormitory feeling victorious, believing she's finally bested her mother. but the woman only grins behind her, amused by how clueless her daughter still is. Even after all these years, Alice hasn't figured out the truth. The Duke has never cared about Cyan. His only priority has always been Ashel. She barges into her father's office and spills everything she's just found out. But the Duke doesn't look angry. He stays perfectly calm and tells her he already knows about the assassination attempt his wife made. Alice stares in disbelief and says his child almost died. Shouldn't he feel something? He replies bluntly that he doesn't see a problem, so long as Cyan ends up dead. She snaps that 6 knights were surrounding her brother, and he would have been slaughtered if Brian hadn't stepped in. The Duke laughs and corrects her. Brian didn't save him. He's just an errand boy. Now she's truly confused. That would mean Cyan took out all 6 knights by himself. Her father lets out another low chuckle, realizing she doesn't know her brother at all. He hands her a red envelope, an invitation to a royal banquet. He says he won't be attending, and that she should go in his place. Then he casually tells her not to worry about Cyan. He's far stronger than she thinks. Alice leaves the room, but his words keep echoing in her head. Just then, she runs into a girl with white hair, returning from a long absence. She lights up and throws her arms around her, demanding to know where she's been hiding all this time. The newcomer is Cecilia Rain, a high-ranking member of the Knights of Light, and once Alice's maid, mentor, and close friend. She gently cheers her up and invites her to come along to the banquet with her. Meanwhile, Cyan and Brian have already begun their journey to the banquet. Nana is thrilled, staring wide-eyed at all the scenery and wildlife they pass. He reminds her to hide her tail. He doesn't want trouble. She uses magic to disguise both her tail and wings, making it easier to blend in. He asks if she still remembers what he told her. She quickly nods and says she'll introduce herself as his maid, but he doesn't look too convinced she'll manage to stay normal in public. The cart rolls to a halt. They're being blocked by bandits. Cyan glances at Brian and tells him to deal with it. It's nothing major. Without hesitation, the swordsman slices their throats and finishes them off in one clean movement. He's clearly come a long way since their training sessions. With the road clear, he hops back onto the cart and they continue the trip. In the office of the hallmaster, Sarika flips through some papers handed to her by her assistant. The aide comments that this year's banquet has way more attendees than expected. Maybe they should delay the plan. Sarika refuses. The assassination of the Drenian Nephilis needs to happen now. The assistant hesitates and asks why she's so insistent. Sarika flatly states the truth. He's a predator who uses his magic to violate married women. Someone like him shouldn't live another day. And worse, he's also her fiancé. As she sorts through the papers, something catches her attention. A child she recognizes is on the guest list. She's a rare prodigy with perfect elemental affinity, 20% in every category, but her weak body keeps her from attending most classes. She's the granddaughter of the Garam Mage Association's head, Lunav Reaver. She's never made a public appearance before, so why show up now? The assistant says she heard the association leader personally ordered her to attend. That sets Sarika on edge. She's sure something's up. This banquet won't be simple. Back in the city, Cyan, Brian, and Nana are walking through the streets of a town they've just arrived in. Nana carelessly bumps into a stranger, but her innocent smile makes him forgive her instantly. Cyan makes a mental note. She needs to stop thinking the world is always nice. Suddenly, Brian notices something's off. Her eyes have shifted. She looks like a predator, dragon pupils back, radiating a strange hunger. She says she's starving, and they need to act fast before someone notices her aura. Cyan tells Brian to take her to the nearest restaurant. A few hours and countless dishes later, she's back to her sweet self. Good thing he brought enough money to handle her appetite. Just as he's relaxing, he senses an unfamiliar mana approaching from behind. A voice calls out, asking if he's really Cyan Vert. Cyan reels for a second. She knows his name. That alone puts him on edge. He keeps his tone guarded and asks her location. She doesn't answer. Instead, she casually takes a seat right beside him. He repeats the question slower this time. Eventually, she responds and introduces herself as Lunav, explaining that she attends the same school and is currently in her second year. The name rings a bell. He swears he's heard it before. Still, something about her doesn't sit right. Why the hell is she being this friendly? He coldly replies that he doesn't waste time on underclassmen. She shrugs and says that's fine. Compared to him, she's practically invisible anyway. Brian and Nana both pick up on the interaction. The maid leans in and asks if that girl is one of his friends. The knight, squinting, admits he has no idea who she is, but she sure doesn't seem like one. The girl comments on how close the knight and maid appear to him. With a playful edge, she notes that he feels warmer than the rumors make him out to be. He tries to brush it off, but the way she just complimented him out of nowhere only spikes his suspicions. She asks if he came to the capital because of the banquets. He nods, then immediately questions how she knew that. She answers flatly. There's no other reason he'd bother showing up in this city unless it's for those events. With a flirty little grin, she tells him they'll be seeing each other again at the venue, since she's been invited too. He figures that if she's attending, she must belong to nobility. All of a sudden, she rises and says she's heading out. Time to wrap up the introductions. She tosses him a wish, don't forget her. Then she drops her full name, Donald Rayner. And just like that, it clicks. He remembers her from before, granddaughter of the Gun Major Association president in Rain River. That man must have sent her here. In his former life, she died while studying at the academy. He can't tell if her death was from illness or the grotesque experiments the association had been running. This is uncharted territory. People he hadn't encountered in his past life are suddenly entering his path now, which means the future is in constant motion. And to top it all off, this is happening on Banquet Day, the day history will later remember as the Banquet of Blood. Elsewhere, Erin gets dressed for the occasion. She glances at Luxemius and asks if she looks okay. He reassures her. She looks stunning, more beautiful than ever. Even so, she's not convinced about the outfit and switches into a new dress. Luxemius grins, teasing that Cyan's going to love it. Her cheeks light up, her whole face flushing red, completely flustered. It surprises her that he'll be there tonight, even though she's the one who sent the damn invitation. A maid enters holding an ornate box and presents it to her. It's a necklace, sent by her brother, Luanel, who insists she look her best for her future wedding. She blinks, caught off guard by the gesture, but doesn't dwell on it much. Finally, the banquet arrives. The atmosphere is lively. Crowds pack the place, laughter and chatter flooding the space. Cyan moves through the hall, eyes scanning for his target. So far, no luck. That's when he spots Kellen among the guests and quickly asks whether Ashel is here too. Kellen confirms he's currently with Prince Lewin, but before anything else, he has something urgent to say, urging Cyan to get out of there immediately. He pauses and checks what's going on. Kellen doesn't doubt the intel, but says that if Cyan stays, he and plenty of others could be at serious risk. Ashel had personally warned him to leave the palace before the event began, mentioning he was preparing something. Unexpected. That final piece falls into place. Cyan finally sees the full picture. The one pulling the strings behind the Banquet of Blood is Ashel himself. Kellen admits he couldn't stand the idea of him getting hurt, so he begged him to leave, but Cyan tells him not to worry. He'll be fine. Kellen, on the other hand, better watch his his own damn back. He heads off, mulling over what kind of stunt Ashel is cooking up now. Every passing day proves his brother is even more unhinged than he thought. Kerm shows up, casually mocking him, asking if he's suddenly grown a conscience about innocent lives. He shoots her a look and says nah, it's just that the plan's kinda cute in a twisted way. Still, if things spiral, it's gonna get real ugly. He needs to intervene before it's too late. Using Ashel's astral lens, Cyan taps into Sarika's psyche and nudges her thoughts. He starts with a compliment about her dress. She immediately catches on that he's manipulating her mentally and cuts to the chase. What's he after? He tells her to delay the purification mission. She wants to know why. He says he got a tip-off. The banquet's about to go full massacre. He promises to explain more later, but right now, they need to confirm if any monsters have infiltrated the venue. She questions whether the intel is legit. He assures her he even knows who's pulling the strings. The dread's been creeping up for a while now. That scream in his head hasn't shut up. He didn't have full confirmation until now. He tells her to forget the target for the moment. With a smug tone, he adds that her creepy fiancé is probably going to die in the chaos anyway. He walks off while she stares after him, clearly pissed. Alice sees her and calls out. Sarika hears the voice and turns. She didn't expect to see Alice here. This wasn't part of the plan they agreed on. Alice replies that she just wanted to step out and get some air. But this isn't good. Alice is about to get caught up in the shitstorm. Sarika grows anxious about the mission. Then another voice cuts in, addressing her as Miss Sarika and calling out to Alice too. His tone practically drips with sleaze. And just when things couldn't get more chaotic, the target makes his grand entrance. He introduces himself with a smirk, Drainian Nephilis. That grin says it all. Trouble. Meanwhile, Cyan pulls Brian aside for something critical. The knight perks up, eager to jump in. Cyan can tell he's getting more into this protector role lately, probably the excess dragon blood. He gives him orders to check the palace's underground tunnels. Brian takes off, ready to go. But before Cyan can say anything else, he stops him with a reminder. This isn't a game. The mission matters. Before he finishes, Brian picks up on movement behind him. Cyan immediately senses the presence, but before he can react, the knight leaps into action, assuming danger. He crashes into the figure. Turns out it's Emily. He stammers an apology as she hits the floor, unconscious. While that mess plays out upstairs, someone is already deep inside the palace's lower levels. He performs a ritual, issuing commands. Dozens of armed fighters begin to stir. The room is filled with shadows ready to strike. Inside the banquet hall, Princess Erin stands still, visibly irritated. Cyan and his group are nowhere to be seen. She had gone out of her way to invite them personally. This wasn't the response she expected. Out of nowhere, Lunav approaches, offering a polite greeting and saying it's an honor to meet the princess. Erin turns to her confused and asks for her name. She responds with a proper introduction. A moment later, Erin places her, same academic year, back at the academy. She remarks she could never forget someone that brilliant. With a dignified tone, she welcomes the girl to the event on behalf of the Empire. Lunav seems genuinely moved by the kindness and remarks aloud that Cyan should see how thoughtful the princess is. That catches Erin off guard. She hadn't expected her to know him. Lunav casually mentions they spoke just yesterday. Without meaning to, Erin blurts out the question, are they close? That's all Lunav needs to confirm her theory. So the princess is jealous and in love. Their conversation is cut short by a woman's scream from across the hall. She yells for help, begging the guards to protect her, but it's already too late. A soulless fighter from the depths of the palace slashes her throat clean. Erin stands frozen. A monster has made it inside. The killer turns his head and locks eyes with her. There's no doubt she's his mark. Elsewhere in the palace, Cyan is in a side chamber, introducing Nana to Emily. He refers to her as his mate. Emily collapses to her knees, stunned. It hits her like a truck. He swapped her out for a younger, cuter maid. He doesn't humor the idea. He moves on, asking if Ashel was really the one who brought her here. She nods and says Ashel was so desperate to have her, he even offered her a job. She recalls how, a few days ago, he summoned her to his office. He asked her to work as his personal maid, claiming that since Cyan was away at the academy, she must be feeling lonely. She had declined, saying she'd rather stay and wait for him to return. He narrows his eyes and asks if she's absolutely sure, but she doesn't have any more answers. That's all she knows. He turns to Brian and tells him to stay close. Emily and Nana aren't safe on their own. Brian checks if he's heading out. Cyan confirms it. Emily wasn't supposed to be part of this timeline. Now, with spies crawling around and Ashel clearly pulling strings, he sees the whole play. His expression turns sharp. Ashel's crossed a line. Without another word, he storms off, set on reaching Erin and whoever else is in danger. After he leaves, Emily breaks down crying. She clutches a bow tie tightly, the same one Ashel had asked her to give to Cyan. As she weeps, Nana senses something off. The gemstone on the bow tie radiates a faint, unsettling magic. She stiffens. Something about it feels wrong. Meanwhile, in a private chamber, Ashel and Prince Luenel talk in hushed tones. They both know the mission is officially underway. After everything, the moment has come. Luenel's gift is about to be delivered. Ashel gives Boris a nod of approval, calling him surprisingly effective. The prince grins and says, this is only the beginning. Their unit will become even more valuable from here on. They're not just disrupting a party. They plan to tear down this peace-soaked empire and remind it exactly who it needs. Back in the grand hall, panic ripples through the crowd as the monster's attack causes chaos. Erin keeps calm, helping direct people toward safety. Lunav urges her to leave while she still can, but she shakes her head. She won't leave until she's made sure everyone else is safe. She insists on staying to help. The creature overwhelms the frontline guards with ease. Then it splits. Identical copies spawn into the room. One clone grabs a guard and rips him apart before he can even scream. While everyone focuses on the copies, a demonic beast breaks through from behind. It tears through half the defense force in seconds. Despair sets in, but a new figure steps in, Sarika. She cuts down one of the beasts with expert precision, immediately commanding the remaining guards to focus on evacuating civilians. Then Alice appears, seamlessly entering the fight. Together, the two begin clearing out the enemies. The head guard tries to pull everyone into a coordinated retreat. Meanwhile, they hold their ground, preparing for the next strike. But to their shock, the creature doesn't even glance at them. Its focus is locked solely on Erin. Just before its tentacle can reach her, a guard throws himself forward and slices it off. He dies instantly. A cluster of tentacles tears through the guard's body, killing him instantly. Erin rushes to catch him, trying to keep him upright, but he's already gone. Tears run down her cheeks as guilt sinks in. She blames herself. Meanwhile, Lunav pushes back the advancing monsters, launching bursts of aqua blast mixed with gusts of wind. She turns over her shoulder and shouts for Erin to get to safety. They'll handle things from here, and she's not letting that captain's death mean nothing. While they beg her to go, The princess stares one last time at the fallen guard. She whispers a promise that his sacrifice will count. The creature's roots are soaked in lethal toxins. Just brushing against them would mean instant death. This shield will block the poison. She commands the survivors to stay alive and fight back. The guards, fired up, charge in. Swords flash as they slash at the enemy, pushing through injuries and exhaustion. Even with her spell, the tide starts turning against them. That's when Alice steps in, releasing a free spell to halt the advance. One of the royal guardians pleads with Aaron again. She needs to evacuate, but Sarika finally reveals what she's really capable of. Drawing a dagger, she slices through monster after monster with precision. Although she teaches alchemy at the academy, wielding a blade like this risks exposing her true identity, but that's irrelevant now. She shifts to her fog sword technique and slays the towering demonic tree beast. An assassin lunges out of nowhere, catching a guard off guard. The alchemist spins and splits his face in two. She yells to the remaining soldiers. There are still more out there, and they can't lower their guard. Her plan is for Elise to get the princess out while they hold the line, but something itches at her. This still feels wrong. Alice and Aaron sprint down a hallway, escaping the chaos. The princess's thoughts swirl. If this girl really is one of the Verts, that would make her Cyan's sister. The thought snaps her back to him. Is he okay? Is he safe? Their train of thought shatters as a skeletal creature drops into their path. The thing doesn't seem lost. It knew exactly where to find them. Alice eyes the monster. Her gut tells her she can't handle it alone. It's a nightcrawler, a high-tier one. They team up, binding it in place with chains and coordination. Hope sparks as reinforcements leap in. Maybe they still have a shot. The nightcrawler swings with a brutal left hook. Lunav leaps in, throwing up a barrier that absorbs the hit. Alice seizes the moment, already on its back. With a smirk, she launches her attack, declaring her name and promising he'll regret ever showing up. The strike lands hard enough to finish him on the spot. Back in the banquet hall, Sarika brings down the last creature with a strike of fog-forged magic. Something nags at her. She walks over to one of the assassins and pulls off its mask. A chill runs through her. They're not living beings. They're corpses, puppets reanimated through dark magic. It's a twisted resurrection technique requiring ridiculous amounts of mana and setup. With this many, it couldn't have been a solo caster. Someone big is behind this, but the why is still a mystery. Elsewhere in the palace, a squad of marionette soldiers descends on the Emperor. He wipes them out easily, but his body gives out. Collapsing, drained, and gasping, he looks up to find Ashel and Luenel already in the room. The Emperor thanks them for their support, unaware they're the ones orchestrating the chaos. Ashel hurries to his side, swearing loyalty. It's all part of the setup to win his trust. Meanwhile, Elise cuts down one more creature and runs into the next chamber, but it's no better in there. More puppet assassins flood in, relentless. They just keep coming. Emily informs Brian that Ashel has given Cyan a bow tie, but he had already left before she could hand it over. Brian finds it odd that Ashel would give him a gift and admits he has a bad feeling about it. She asks if something is wrong. He isn't certain but notes that Ashel has never sent Cyan any presents before. From what he's observed, Cyan harbors a deep-seated grudge against his older brother Astral, far beyond typical sibling rivalry. From across the room, Nana warns Brian that they need to get out immediately. He asks why, but she only replies that something dangerous is approaching. Before they can respond or ask further, a monster bursts through the wall behind them. Brian orders them to flee while he handles the threat, a powerful beast, a behemoth. Meanwhile, Dranian, the target of the purification, runs desperately for his life. The others help evacuate him. He escapes faster than anyone else, but is ambushed at the front doors by a horde of marionette corpses. Fear grips him. His only hope is to survive and return to his sweet, dear mate, whom he has been tormenting and abusing in his absence. He turns to suggest retreating to the back doors, thinking it might be safer, but before he can get a response, a marionette decapitates him in one swift motion. Just as the marionettes prepare to kill more, Alice intervenes with an aqua explosion. Paired with Lunav's freeze spell, they overwhelm and destroy the marionettes. Everyone in the room stares in shock at their display of power, curious about who they are, but there's no time for introductions. The mage warns that the danger isn't over, and urges them to protect Princess Aaron. They turn their attention to the princess, checking if she's unharmed. She, however, is more concerned about Lunav's frail condition. Lunav reassures her not to worry and promises to recover quickly. She warns that the next assault will begin soon, and that Aaron needs to evacuate. Despite that, the princess can't shake her concern for them. The guards step forward, pledging to shield her. Alice confronts the monsters directly, and commands the guards to use their magic to defend the noble guests. They must hold the line until the battle ends. The royal knight's priority is the princess's safety. Alice promises to do everything in her power to stop the monsters, though inwardly she doubts her chances. No matter how many they eliminate, more keep showing up, as if tracking them constantly. It seems they are being tracked through the gemstone given to Aaron. Back to Brian. He faces off against the behemoth, doing his best to keep Emily safe and the monster at bay. For such a powerful creature to invade the palace, there must be a deeper plot. Until now, he had Cyan by his side to back him up, but alone, he must defend both himself and Emily. She places her full trust in him as a monster charges. He prepares to block the attack, warning her to stay behind him and not stray. He manages to deflect the strike flawlessly, surprising himself with how strong he has become. This boost of confidence makes him believe he might stand a chance to defeat the creature. He parries every blow, matching the monster's ferocity blow for blow. Emily asks if he's okay. He reassures her that not a scratch will come his way. Then, distracted for a moment, the monster lunges with its jaws. Brian won't be able to block this attack in time. Just when it seems too late, Nana leaps in, forcefully driving the monster away. She seems transformed, like a different person. Meanwhile, Aaron and Alice continue battling the remaining marionettes. The princess raises a magic barrier to shield the knights, while her ally uses spirit water spells to immobilize the enemies. The fight feels endless. Whoever masterminded this is unknown, but clearly planned thoroughly. The knights will wear out eventually, and they need another strategy. In the heat of battle, a mask is knocked off, revealing the corpse beneath. Alice realizes these are essentially marionettes, reanimated by dark magic. To counter them, they need something that opposes dark magic. The first thought that comes to her is Lumendel, the god of light, and his light magic. If someone can wield it, they might have a chance to turn the tide. She calls out to Princess Aaron, asking her to infuse her sword with mana. Aaron replies that she can't. Doing so would break the protective spell cast on the knights. The guardian knight consoles her, saying they'll be fine without it. She hesitates but knows they have no choice. She proceeds to bless the sword with the blessing of light. Although combining two mana types is difficult, the princess channels the blessing of light into the blade. Spirit magic flows through the sword as smoothly as water, giving it a tangible mana form. Alice isn't fully confident this will work, but is willing to take the risk. On the other side, Cyan had already eliminated most of the marionettes in his path and quickly realized these enemies were nothing more than puppets and mandrakes. Apparently he had begun assisting Ashel. This was also when Boris Boris officially became one of Ashel's subordinates. Karim expressed surprise that humans still practiced necromancy-type dark magic, such an ancient and forbidden art. He acknowledged her observation and mentioned there was a particular individual who frequently wielded it. He explained how the use of dazed stones accelerated the monster's strength, and that the mana within those stones attracted beasts. She confirmed she could sense the dazed stone's mana emanating from a specific direction. He urged her that they needed to move faster, warning that the palace was turning into a slaughterhouse, but before they left, he insisted on changing his clothes. Meanwhile, Alice, aided by Aaron, summoned the spirit Marion using light-type mana. Since mana types couldn't be combined easily, the spirit's existence was unstable and couldn't be sustained for long without risking bodily collapse. They needed to end the summon before the spirit deteriorated completely. Suddenly the spirit spoke, questioning why the girl was willing to sacrifice herself. She confessed she hadn't found any other way to defeat the enemies. The spirit expressed disappointment that a child blessed by Freen would face such a cruel destiny. As the marionettes advanced, the spirit's